Hey everybody, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you doing?
I still don't like, I don't feel like I don't have words for how I'm doing in this state.
Mm,
It's been
I
a
get that.
very like visceral fuck it vibe, but also very directed.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the exact same, to be honest. We're always in quite resonance. This
Yep.
week's been quite a reminder of the points of living and like the good things of living,
Right.
and like the joyful things that there is to experience out of life. And, and that's why I look a bit like a disheveled, washed up thing. I've been swimming in the rivers today, and that's one of my joys. It's like such a joy of life to just be out in an open water and just swimming under the beautiful blue skies and just experiencing nature in its fullest form. Like for me, that's just
Yeah, it's
a
great.
reminder of like why we're living.
Oh, totally. Totally. It's one of my favorite things to do too. It's like on random. I'm like, I don't know which river or lake I'm gonna hit today. It's gonna be a random journey, but I'm gonna go
Yeah.
so I can dunk it.
Yeah. And like we were just saying before, it's been really nice to actually also be around the kids and also having like that experience as well. So I'm able to be a mum still and do that because obviously when they were so little and Phoenix was very codependent, so it really didn't give much room to be able to like go do little things even whilst I was there with him. But now he's getting to nearly 2 and Sky is such an independent little thing at like 5 months. It's really nice to be have a reminder of like the things I enjoy doing too and having space in my life to be able to do them things. And yeah, I was driving home and I just kind of got the message of, yeah, that fuck it vibe is very strong at the moment, but it wasn't a bad like fu to anybody. It was more like, yeah, this is fuck it, this is life, this is the roller coaster, this is the experience. And what a beautiful thing that we do get to experience both the challenge and the embodiment and the expansions and everything that we get to experience in the human. Like it really is such an emotional roller coaster, but one of the most highest peaks that you just couldn't experience anywhere else.
Right, right, right. And I
Mm.
would have to say, first off, thank you for that experience. I'd have to say this week has been really it's not a I'm gonna blow you up and die type of fuck you situation. It's really
Yeah.
like I'm not doing anything else but what I was made to do down here, which was to be peaceful, to do the things that I love, to be around people that I love, to go out in nature, to laugh, to color is what I've been doing. Like I have just been chilling,
Nice.
full days in bed.
Nice. I love that though. And I love that you're letting that creative energy out because like we was talking about this last week, the embodiment of that divine feminine, because she was just rising last week, it felt like new and more just like getting to know her and getting to know this new version of self. And the reason the way I explained it is if imagine if we have like a panel and then we have one hot seat, it's almost like we're gaining a member of our internal panel so
Right,
that we can have access to this vibration when and if we want to access it. And it's like then this version of self will have access to that hot seat, which is your conscious mind and your conscious experience and your human experience. And so it's like she's just gaining a seat at the table. She's gaining a seat on the panel. Whether you're a male or female, it might be male, but depending on who you are. Just talking from my own experience, but yeah, they definitely are gaining a seat at the table here. And yeah, like we were saying last week, it was almost a getting to know and a getting adjusted. Whereas this week, it feels like the creation is being born into the human. Like we felt the creation energy last week, but it was more introductory. Whereas
right.
this week, it feels like exploratory. It's like, okay, what can we do here? What are we being channeled into do? I'm having so many ideas about music and writing music and poems, and I started writing a book. I've got a novel on the go. I did
Right.
6,000 words on this book, and I'm like, okay, this is unexpected, but we'll go with it. And
For
it's
sure.
been really good to like distract my mind a little bit and to get this creative spark that I've obviously been feeling and not had a name, a place, a direction for it. Yes, starting this book has been great because I've done some writing a little bit before. I've a little bit dabbled in it and I've done a university degree. So I kind of have a familiarity with some form of writing, but I've never written. And I wrote like interactive workbooks and an ebook that explains like spirituality in a more simplified form. So I've done like writings before, but not like this. This feels really different, and it feels really like birthing something new. So yeah, there's been deep creation, and so I'm glad you're in alignment to that, because it felt like she just had to get adjusted to the new energy, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm going."
Yep, go for it. Totally, totally. It's been a lot of clarity in creation, I would say.
Yeah.
Like that vibration of the divine, coming into grounded body. And I've definitely had like the womb stuff going on too. Like
Mm,
it's been very much so in flare, but also very grounding, where it's this is I will not stand for this, I will not take this, and we're going to create with this piece right here, and it's going to be very direct. Like but it's very beautiful. And it's
yeah.
something that like I know we've seen it, we've tasted it, we've felt we know it's there, and now it's like in our faces, and we're like, ah,
What do I do with this?
what do we do
And
with
it
all this?
is
Exactly.
100%. And there's so much I want to dive into. I feel like very excited about this energy, very excited about this topic, and very excited about like, I'm a very questioner. I'm like, okay, so what does this mean? What do we do with it? How do we explore it? And I get like so over deep with it. But then I also realize that's part of the human trying to understand things and process things. And so this time I've been aware of that. I've been aware of the questioning and definitely explored some questions with it. But I've also just like let it exist as well. And just flow with it, see where it is going, and find out for myself instead of asking the questions, just go with it and see again that fuck it energy that will really, what is the worst that can happen in this situation, and then just going with it, not having the fear or anxiety about it. But yeah, I definitely notice what's been brought up recently as well is it connects deeply to this. I did a video on TikTok around, must have been a year ago, because it came up on like the yearly thing, and it was about how a lot of women are in the masculine energy.
Yep.
And a friend brought it back up to me today, actually. She was like, I wore a dress because of you. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I've seen your TikTok about women in the masculine energy for protection. She was like, so I wore a pretty dress. And I commented on the dress. That's why it got brought up. And because she looked beautiful. And it really like reminded me of that concept. And I think it links so much into now. So I wanted to like bring that in a little bit and get your perspective on that as well, Z, because how do I humanize it? So the way I see it is we have like human body, physical body. So this can apply to both like men and women, but I'm just talking from a woman's perspective. So in a woman's body, let's strip away the society, let's strip away all the trauma and everything. Her nervous system rests feeling emotionally safe, physically safe, in a primal existence, because your nervous system as a woman is to care and in some ways like nurture, especially children. There's that instinct that's built in, whether you're a mum or not. It's a natural, instinct that's programmed into us, like kind of biologically as a vessel. But then we have the soul, which sometimes is the same as the gender, but sometimes not. And so that's also a thing that can interact, not interrupt, or like it can connect with the body in different ways than just a feminine soul in a feminine body, because that's kind of should be more straightforward. But this is where I'm going into the deeper things.
Yep, we're going
But
for
then we're gonna go, because I'm like
it.
my best to humanize this, but we'll just go with it. But yeah, so we've got like me personally, I'm a feminine soul in a feminine body. But see, we spoke about this before, and I'm sure you said your soul's more masculine in a feminine body. Is that what you said?
My soul actually ventures into both.
In both. That was
There's
it.
a duo dynamic. Yeah, so it could be considered a two soul, or but they're
Yeah, that's
whatever.
that's a new layer. That's a new layer to opinion. Woo! And it is. So this, but it's so important to talk about these things, because there's not just one type of human, and this is what I'm trying to like get at, because sometimes I talk about things from like my perspective, but
Right.
my perspective is one from a female body with a female soul and a female oversoul. So I'm coming highly from the female perspective when I'm channeling, when I'm working in the energy realms, when I'm transmuting and processing and integrating. It's very much on the feminine
Sure.
energies, and so I can only talk on that perspective. So I think it's really important to bring in different perspectives as we're talking about this topic. And so we've got like the mixture of souls with the bodies, like
Yep.
feminine, masculine, both. Okay,
Yep.
because we'll add that.
Yep.
And then we have, for my example, feminine soul, feminine body, an environment, societal environment, and experiences where it's not safe for that femininity to exist.
Yep.
Whether it's like the literal environment you live in is dangerous, there's high crime, or your childhood, or your partners, or anything shame that's been put upon you for being in your femininity, for being weak, for being too emotional, for being too vulnerable, for being too caring, for being too dramatic, or any of these things, societal stigmas and shames, whatever we call
Is
them,
that?
stigmas. they're
Yes.
they are the burden on the soul. And for so long, like, I look at teenagers now, obviously I'm 28 now, and I see them how I was. Like, I was this mouthy little teenager, little, very much like what we call like a chav, or, in this area, I don't know what people call it in America, but it's like, from the hood. I felt like I was acting like that. But when I questioned it later on, and it goes back to that video on TikTok, I realized that I had to act that way because I felt not safe. I'd been bullied at school. I'd had a lot of over dominating people around me. And so I'd learned to go into my masculine to survive.
Yep.
Now, some women retreat in and they get really quiet. They become really people pleasers and they, don't avoid conflict. Whereas I just became the opposite. I was conflict searching almost. It was like a defense mechanism. If you're going to attack me, I'll attack you first, and it was like that attitude energy, that protection, and that kind of really bitchy energy, really, and like attacking energy, really. It's like, don't come at me, so I'll come at you first, and I lived in that for a good like 10 years. And that was when I was experiencing stomach problems as well, ironically. So highly connected. But my question, or like not even a question, reflection, is like, it took me years to understand that program, and it took me years, and I'm still working on it now. Like, sometimes my natural instinct is to go straight into my masculine of, who are you talking to? And really, instead of saying that really hurt, I'm really upset by that, I'm really feeling vulnerable and exposed right now, and that really hurt my feelings. Like, I really still struggle to do that. I'm still working on this concept. And that, in my opinion, comes from the societal program that I've experienced and the societal experiences in my lifetime. But would you say, like, there is other experiences, maybe like your own, sometimes where it's not about the societal thing, it's more about a soul thing? Or like, let's just get your reflection on it. I'll just leave it open to just add what you want to add.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I think this is very like it's a very multifaceted subject to talk about. And so first off and foremost, I want to tell everybody here, like everybody has a different perspective, and that is fantastic.
Mhm.
Want that again, always question yourself as we're diving into some of this. From my perspective, if we're looking and we're just kind of breaking down the feminine energy, then you have your soul perspective and you have your physical body perspective. It's not that they're all separate. It's they all have their own consciousness to say. That's from my experience, right? They're all on different levels trying to communicate and work with each other. And to say like for my physical body, which has she loves the dynamic of the soul, and it is very much so both intermixed.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's not even an identity of masculine and feminine.
Hmm. Hmm.
And sometimes they're both interchanging and working together, which is a very beautiful aspect. And my
Right.
body really reflects both.
Right.
So, and it just depends if I'm working with that divine feminine that's coming in right now. The interface is very curious because you have the soul that is also working with this energy that's communicating with it, and you have the body that's now working with the soul and this energy that's coming
Yeah.
in. And then the body's interfacing with it. And I would have to say, from my experience, like the body's it's like, what communication format is this? I don't know what's happening right now. What are you doing?
I love that. I love the way you worded that too. That's so perfect. Perfect.
Like, so, the soul is saying da 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 da. I can feel the
Mhm.
soul resonance coming through. We have a really good relationship. And this divine feminine has an intensity to it, and the body can take it in several different ways. It could take it as like, wow, this is too strong, this is over domineering, it has those kind of old constructs to it that you could come up with it that are resonating in the body because it's not sure how to interpret it.
Mhm.
I've noticed the body just kind of go completely like dunzo, like I'm gonna rest here because I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do with that until the body understands how to communicate with it. And that's where it takes time to integrate it and then go, oh, hey, look. I'm going to pull this energy in now because I feel safe to do it. And that's the word that kept coming up with you. The whole safe
Right.
process with the feminine, and not the feminine, but the body. The body's really got to feel safe to be able to pull that in, interpret it, and feel into what it can do with it.
Yeah. And that is genuinely like the key to it all. The little golden nugget of that is truly because, I've experienced it. I've felt that energy and it's so divine and so empowering. But then when you experience like a moment of non safety after that,
Yep.
it's way deeper than ever before because it's like a deeper betrayal. It's like, hang on, you've seen sides of me that are way more vulnerable and way more
Exactly.
deeper. And then now there's like such a deeper layer of betrayal because once you start embodying that sacred self, it is literally a sacred self. And so when you give that to someone and then there's a disrespect or a pain or whatever, a misinterpretation, it's like so much deeper. And that's down to the safety thing, because when that sense or concept of safety is removed, then her existence feels unstable,
Right.
you know?
There's it's so vulnerable to the point where it's so shearing through the body. Because I've been working with this with a few people and just kind of diving into these spaces, and it is the most vulnerable aspect that needs to feel the safest, right?
Right.
It takes it a time. It's taken my body a period of time to be like, okay, that's it's the right people that I got to be around to harness this
Mm,
energy and work
mm.
it. And it's not that I can't do it by myself. Yes, I can. Like that is a thing. But also in knowing where we're at, we're meant to be working it together too, right? Which is so,
Right. And this, I'm so glad you said that, Z, because sometimes I'm like, give myself a bit of shit that I'm not doing it on my own, that I'm like
yeah,
not using, but, using that connection and using that experience and using that new energy of different safety and different aspects of challenging my vulnerability. Because if I was having that conversation with myself, would I really feel as vulnerable? Would I really feel as challenged? Would I really feel as like questioning myself? Like for me, that's like a GCSE test, like an examination. It's like it allows, not in the bad way, but it allows me to put these skills that I've been working on internally for all this time to the test, because I'm then sat in an uncomfortable place, not wanting to be vulnerable, but knowing that I've put all this work in to get there, and then I have a choice. Which
right,
way you're going to respond, through your old programmings of masculine defense, or sit in your vulnerability and own it without shame. And
right.
that's been like a real testing point for me, and I've gone both ways. I'm not going to say, oh, every single time I've done the right. No, I haven't. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even hear the choice. I'm like, choice was gone before I even got there,
Yep, yep,
The
yep,
defense was like, where? Yeah. And
yep.
she didn't even let, them aspects of me didn't even let the other parts speak, because it is a protection thing. And you have to remember the nervous system is like the dictator to the show sometimes. And so if the nervous system is saying we're not safe, shut down, protect, 99% of the time, unless you're consciously overriding it, which is what we're learning to do, it's
Okay.
going to go back to the old programs. And so it's that conscious like over rewriting that program and changing that pattern. But that does take a lot of conscious work and a lot of conscious awareness and acknowledgement and checking yourself, really,
And time, honestly, like
Yeah, time. Yeah.
this process, like it's per second moment where I'm like, check back in, because I want to not have the same programming. So when it gets to the point where like, ooh, that this is a lot to move through and I'm feeling really vulnerable, then my body's gonna situate herself in a space where she knows that that's safe, and then she's gonna get real vulnerable and speak out.
Yeah. 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 And it is that. It's like, and going back to the concept of working it with other people, like, again, I feel like me personally, there is only so far I do get internally on my own. And then
Yep.
I'm put in a situation where I either am too overly protective of myself and I have to, I literally did it yesterday. Someone asked me a question and I was feeling overwhelmed and I reverted back to like quite snappy and quite protective. And then like 5 minutes later, I was sat there and I was screwing about it inside because I knew I'd reacted in a way that was no longer aligned to me, regardless of the fact that would have been absolutely fine maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever. But it wasn't how I felt like I should respond. So then I didn't fully take full self awareness, but I like corrected the statement and like changed the outcome, and that was enough. But then the next day, today I actually followed up on it and acknowledged it in a different sense and was like, listen, I don't feel that was the right way to act, and I'm really sorry about that, and I'm changed my actions, but I'm just letting you know that, like, I'm acknowledging the line stepping over or whatever. And I've like felt like it was a real point of, sometimes my point is sometimes it doesn't have to be in the moment you make the choice or reflection or the change. Sometimes it is afterwards, and as long as there is change, it's okay. There's no need to punish yourself, like I said, if you do slip up and you do go back to them programs, as long as you're like making change from them slip ups, if you will.
Totally. I mean, we're all gonna slip up still, everybody. I'm speaking for myself, like I'm gonna fuck things up. It's gonna happen.
It happens, shit happens.
It happens. It happens, and it's being aware of it, taking accountability, and being like, oh, like that is a thing, and I can slow
Mhm.
down and do it. Like I don't have to react quickly, like you said. Like sometimes I had this situation with my dad a few weeks ago, and I took like a good several days before I came back and was like, this was really unacceptable to me, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm not okay with it, and I will take accountability for my side, but this is not okay with me.
Mhm.
And just because I took that time to slow down and have clarity within my body, I already reprinted and repatterned that it's safe to take that time and speak when I feel safe to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It doesn't need to be in the moment because it can be, but sometimes things are so tense, sometimes things are so amplified and emotionally charged that the outcome that you desire on both ends is not going to be achieved because of the emotional energy that's attached to it. So sometimes that time and reflection is actually crucial for the nervous system to return back into safety mode and to get out of fight or flight, and then to be able to think rationally and consciously to be able to have a clear communication. Because if you're both in fight or flight protection, you're not going to be able to communicate and get the outcome you want. Very rarely is that going to happen in that moment. So that time and reflection afterwards is usually key to that actual change and growth.
agreed. Yeah, give
Really
yourself
agree.
a minute to
Mhm.
respond there. I feel like
Yeah,
that's just where it's at right now in general, especially with that energy coming in. It's really like I'm gonna slow down here and take my time because there really isn't any time. And I can do it however which way is going to be most empowering to me, which has been really beautiful. Yeah,
yeah. Just a permission, isn't it? And that
totally.
goes back to the concept of even giving this aspect of self permission to exist. Like sometimes it sounds strange or like different for to talk about like a different version of self, like it's someone else. But the way I see this is like the inner child for me is like this human body's child, like the child version of us. Then you've got the inner teen, which is like the teenage version of us. This version is the adult self, if
Yep.
you obviously you're an adult, the current conscious adult self, whatever you want to call it, the human, the current version. And then you've got the higher self, which obviously is the more spiritually astral connected version of self, more connected to the oversoul. And then there is probably loads more aspects, but to me, this is the current ones we're working with and others. And the sacral self is what I call this new aspect of self, which is, like Z said, been coming in and out for a little while, but not with this energy and not with this presence as much so. And all these aspects of self are on that panel that have access to that hot seat, which is your conscious mind, your human body, and your expression. And so, like, when someone does something and it really hurts and it upsets you and it maybe pisses you off, you might then allow the inner child or the inner teen to take that hot seat and get in your emotions and your ego because that really upset your inner child. And so she's the one that sat in the hot seat feeling really upset and going over and over and over about it in your mind. Well, really, in a rational, logical adult mind, you probably won't be doing that. It's probably the inner child aspect that's playing out that pattern. And so it's really important to acknowledge at the moment that all of them different aspects have such a role and they've took us this far, but they are not the ones to take us through this next chapter because the inner child's too vulnerable, too afraid. The inner teen's too ferocious or too defensive, too fight or flight. The adult's too programmed, too human. The higher self's too disconnected from the human, too in the astral realms. And so the sacral self is the dancer in between. She's the weaver of the worlds and the one that has the fire and the passion and the confidence, but also the emotion, the grounding, the nurturing, the love that we need to balance us out through this ascensional chapter, and through this next period. And a friend Rachel mentioned to me on Tuesday night that we've shifted from a goddess that was, I can't remember if she said serious, I don't know, serious energy. And we shifted from that into Aphrodite energy recently in the past couple of weeks. So I think that pretty much bang hits the nail on the head with the shift in the overall frequencies that's been going on. It's definitely been amplified in love, self-love, passion, divine energy, all in the womb space activations and in the heart. And so it does fit with the Aphrodite energy. But yeah, I think just remembering that this sacral self is the aspect that's going to kind of hold the space for the next chapter to come. So it is quite important to not push them away and to allow them, if they are coming forward to you, to get to know them, to sit with them and not judge them, shame them, and actually see that they are a version of you, not to be afraid or ashamed of.
Right, absolutely. And that's what this divine feminine is really about. I feel like that full embodiment is about to it's owning yourself and owning all aspects of yourself without any shame or guilt.
Yeah.
And she comes in with a lot of surrender. A lot of
Mm.
surrender to the flow. There's a lot of surrender to life. She comes in, and even as we're interfacing with the inner child or the teen or the adult self, she's very aware of all these facets. She's like the overseer from my perspective,
Yeah.
right? This
Yeah.
nurturing like holds, and she's watching these facets get triggered or set off, and she comes in just to cover that, and nurture that piece of it, and make a directive action on what could happen or what it like the whole body would like to do with that. Like she comes in and she's like a really big communicator too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Communicates
And
with
recently,
people.
100%, it's like a big communicator. And recently I felt the like needs and divine energy of that, and not just the nurturing side, but also like her sense of expression in me, and like that sense of the need to be free and the need to be unshackled was a big word that came up. The unshackling of not being in the human, not being in the teen or child, and not being, and just being, like you say, surrendering. And it was such a nice, unfamiliar but familiar and really safe energy to be in. And when it shifted back out of that, I really had to like grieve that for a few days and readjust to the frequency that it was before, because I was like, wow, that was such a nice frequency to be in and such a nice
Sure.
space to just be embodied in for a good like solid 4 days.
Yep.
And then it shifted out, and then I can feel it flowing back in and out, but it also feels like a big piece of it is not feeling fully safe to hold that vibration
Right.
like long term because of the energies around. So yeah, I'm definitely working with that concept of safety deeply, and so I'm sure it'll be coming up with the collective as well, and it's
Yeah.
the key to integrating this aspect.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest key. And there's so many facets to the whole entire system feeling safe, besides the internal, all of your internal aspects, all of your parts and pieces, your inner child, and then working that in the environment, then working that with others. Like it's very
Mm.
multifaceted and it has different lines, programs, pieces that come along with being able
Mm-hmm.
to fully embody that and create from that, right? I mean, essentially that's what we're looking for, and that what that sacral energy is to be able to fully be in creation. So I would say
Yeah.
with this particular piece coming in again is to be very, very open to yourself and what might be coming up. This roller coaster is it's definitely one where I have been so up and then down on the floor crying like a little baby. Like it is one of those where you just feel like you're losing your mind a little bit, and that's
Yeah.
very normal because of the deepness of the energy coming into contact with your body and your other aspects, and
Yeah.
anything else that needs to be acknowledged or seen. And this divine feminine carries a lot of deep emotion for the body, like so deep. The
Really.
body like is, well, at least for mine, it's she's interpreting it, and she's like, God, that's just sits and cries for a period of time because it's
But
so, until she realizes how to alchemize it, But
no, literally, that happened to me the other night. Like, all of a sudden, I just felt so emotional, and I didn't get the response needed, and so I just like sat there and cried for like an hour, and I was like, what the fuck is
yep,
going on with this? And then I was fine, and then I started writing my book again, and I was absolutely fine. But I was like, where the did that come from? It was like a real moment of don't know, need shedding, releasing, expansion, but all in a very short period of time. But
very much
very
so.
emotional. It definitely felt emotional for that little hour, and then I was all right again. But it was. different. This integration is very different. It's not
Very.
the usual, and I don't really know what I'm doing with it. I don't think any of us fully know like the blueprint of how to work with this energy, because I don't think there is one. I think
Yep.
the point of it is it's unpredictable, and it is like that's the point, because so much of us, this is almost teaching us what real safety is,
For sure.
what deep emotional
It is.
knowing and safety is in our bodies. And so we are being shown that, because you really can't access that version of self without feeling it. So when we start to feel it, we'll start to embody it to access this version of self more. And so it like teaches us to open up to that safety on such a deeper level.
Oh, totally. It's a very beautiful teacher to do so. Like I've been really,
Mm-hmm.
really excited about it, and also in knowing that it's very unknown. Like I don't know, for a given moment, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do with this. We're making it up as we go, so
Literally.
it's gonna be a good time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Just going with the flow. Like we have no plan. We're just winging it over here. But on that note, I did have some question prompts
yay.
for people to write down and do a few prompts on your own time. So pause it now and get yourself a pen and paper, and we will write down. I'm gonna find it again. It's moved. We'll write down the questions that came through, because I do my Tuesday night session, as you guys know, and I usually channel in the energies that we're working with, and this has been really strong at the moment. So we've got, what have I been afraid to question? So what have I been afraid to question? What in my life feels like it's being controlled or boxed in? Where do I need to break free of social expectations? What does the not giving a fuck energy look like and feel like for me? And what is the truth that I have been avoiding? Now, again, just go with this and just let yourself write these answers. No one else is going to see them. And what I think is also really important is giving the sacral self a name, and maybe using the internet or a form of like search engine and asking like what's the spiritual meaning of this name, because that will help you understand and deeper connect to that version of self and allow you to feel more connected. So when you're getting to know someone, one of the first things you ask is what's your name, because it allows you to like get to know them on a personal level. And it's really important to get to know this version of self on a personal level. So get to know them, ask them the name, ask these questions with yourself, and really start to just embody that energy. It is coming from the womb space. So I think embodying it in the womb, maybe dancing, moving, creating, painting, singing, photo shoots, nature, I don't know, whatever comes through, but creation energy in the womb, just allow it to flow in.
Yep. I love this
Mm.
practice of coming up with a name for that because it's such an empowering move. Because I want to say my name
Yeah.
came through, this is several years now. It is actually my actual middle name. I had to change it.
I
But,
love
so Kalea for my womb or sacred divine feminine energy is slayer of many-headed dragons, freer of slaves.
love that. I
And
love that.
completely outside of the box flow. So, all of those really do pertain to this divine that I feel coming into the space that I've always known has been there. This is just another face of her that we get to see and embody.
Mhm.
So it's a beautiful practice to name it, to feel into it, to embody it, and see how it gets to flow in your creationary story.
Yeah, and see how she feels in your body. And I must say, like when I answered these questions myself on Tuesday night with my group, what came up for me was the main thing of like feeling boxed in, feeling like is not allowed to be seen. What am I afraid to question? Like, what truth am I avoiding? The main concept of it was this version of self feeling shrunken and shackled. And
Yes.
so it is really important for me to like work on that consciously. And when I gave her a name, mine was Shazia. And it was totally unexpected for me. I was like, oh, that's totally different. But, and it's Arabic and Urdu, and it's all about like questioning the norm, sacred rebellion, just by presence and truth and honoring the like truest divine energy of embodiment. And simply it is like the not giving a fuck energy, but in a human name form, which is lovely. And it really embodied my energy. There was some so powerful activations, and I had a really beautiful poem that was brought forward as well, and that just hit like true activation points within me. So yeah, I think it's really important to do this, to connect in and not be afraid to share these things, and you know, experience what we experience and not be ashamed of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
if it does come up, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Be kind with yourself because it still happens.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And just if it's not coming up yet, also this is working with men too, because I have a male in my group, and he was really embodying his sacral self and his aspect of self, and that came forward, and it was a real blend of the masculine and feminine energy, and it was a real yin and yang vibration. And his name that he got forward actually meant yin and yang, which was hilarious. So, it was definitely happening in men as well. It's not just about the women. This is a multifaceted awakening. It's just that this energy itself is feminine. And so
Yes.
that's why we've been talking a lot about that. But obviously, each human has both masculine and feminine aspects. So both men and women are experiencing this aspect awakening. And it is important for men to question and do these things too.
Oh, totally. I'm gonna say call in
Mm-hmm.
all the men into this space because this type of energy is gonna actually allow your sacred masculine, if you want to call it that, or your
Yeah.
balanced masculine to come forward.
Which is what a lot of like the women or the other half of population need, the other feminine souls, to feel safe and vulnerable, is that divine masculine safety. And so like it is the yin to the yang. Without that we kind of feel roadblocked. So the men working on it allow the women to work on it, which allow the men work on it more and allow the women to work on it more. So it really is a contributory cycle, and which is why, as you mentioned, working together right now is so important, because it's working together that brings the harmony that we need to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's us learning that we can come in together to co-create in that space and not lose
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. We have our sovereignty now, that's
Mm-hmm.
solid there that we get to play in those spaces together and really help move this forward. And I was just excited for that piece.
Yeah, it's not fighting anymore. It's not
Nope,
conflict. Well,
nope.
there's old programs of that, but the vibration is not at that anymore. There's not
Right.
that inner conflict between the masculine and feminine. It is harmonized, but it's just allowing that to come into the human.
Yep.
Yeah,
Allowing your
beautiful.
interfacing to work with it, your body, her expression.
Literally, like finding a whole new pathway to exist in. And I must say, I have struggled myself, but I do find clothing helps me, ironically. Like, I notice like some days I really want to dress. I'm not saying I can't dress really masculine, but some days I'm doing it to hide. And I notice that a lot, because like,
Yep.
it's for me, my natural truest vibration is not that. And that's not that it's wrong for anyone else, but my natural true vibration is not that. It's very fairy forest floaty dresses in the woods and stuff, like
I love
that
it.
is my vibe. And then when I notice myself repeatedly dressing very masculine, I know for me, I'm like hiding and trying to hide emotionally, because I'm not facing something. I'm not living in my truest expression. And yeah, so I definitely notice my clothing, my sense of self expression is how I channel into my energies and where they're at as well. So just be aware of the human things that you're experiencing that are also giving messages.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm.
I love that part. I'm just laughing at mine because mine is very much so an intermix, and sometimes it's a little
Yeah.
kid, and sometimes whatever. Like I want to express, that's my highest expression in that moment. Sometimes it is a
And I
very
love that.
oh,
I love your way of expression. I love watching you and think she's so fucking cool. And like mine is quite not serious, but quite like there's definitely not a restriction on it, but it feels like there's a certain vibration I'm very
sure.
comfortable in representing with. And when I step out of that, I'm like, ooh, this is weird. Like, and it's really different for me. And like we did the ball obviously, and I felt like
Yep.
being in a cute ball gown was just like my fucking go to.
Yeah,
I
like
was like, I could
totally
get
written
used
down.
to this. Like, I could get used to walking around in a big ball gown. Like, this is my vibe. So I think I came in the wrong era, but yeah, it's definitely a feminine thing for me. Is my way of dressing, and even like when I do dress a little bit more masculine, I still try and like bring my flair to it, if you will. So like you said, Z, your expression is truly you, and that's what it should be. There is no right or wrong blueprint, left or right. It's more what feels right to you. And that's why I'm glad my friend mentioned it, because it wasn't that she wore a dress because I told on the video women are being masculine. It was more a case of she wanted to be in her truest expression without hiding. And she gave herself permission to do that. And that was really beautiful. So,
I love that. Whatever that
yeah,
is for each and every one of you, just own it, get it out there, do whatever makes
yeah,
you feel in your highest expression. And that is what your soul, this intricacy of these energies are coming through to express through your body. So,
exactly. Exactly. What a beautiful place to summarize our little activational chat.
all right,
Lovely.
everybody. We super appreciate you. In overview, we've got some good energy vibes coming in. We've got some deepness coming in. We've got an integration of the feminine and being able to really truly live this life. Like just
Mhm.
really live it in a way that's peaceful and joyful and a breath.
Literally, literally a breath. Perfect words. And thank you all for tuning in. Again, leave any comments, questions, anything. And, all the links are below. Make sure you are subscribing and following along and making sure you are putting them notifications on so you can hear us have a little wander on into the world of the unknown. And yes, stay tuned. There'll be a lot more content and different exciting things coming. So
Totally.
definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, thank you again, Z. I always love working with you, and this energy is powerful, and I would love no more to work through it with than yourself. So thank you.
Likewise. Likewise. I love you so much. All right, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.